What up, everybody? My name is Raedy Lex. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my mix. Shout out to Carmen of Wonderful DJs. Thank you so much for having me. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Remember to be kind. Remember to be necessary. Remember to be true. And remember to always be you. Enjoy.
Hey, what's up? It's Silly Girl Carmen. Super happy to be talking to Raedy Lex today for Wonderful Radio. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for coming on here today. We're going to jump right into your first question. Can you tell us more about the That's Our Friend brand? How did that concept come about, and maybe what is it exactly?
Yeah, so That's Our Friend started as like a group of us at different flow arts festivals. If you're not familiar with what flow arts are, it's like movement arts that you use with or without a prop. So some people know the main one is hula hooping, right? People like, you're a hula hooper. So I am actually a general manager for a couple of different flow festivals. And so at these festivals, you come together and during the day you learn and you take classes, and different stuff. And then at night there's a fire circle where you go and like practice those things that you've learned,
Dope.
And it was like my second festival I'd ever been to. And I realized there was kind of like an elitism at this festival, which is fine. It's like almost all subgroups, right? And but I had met a friend in my juggling class, and like I could tell that they like needed some like motivation or whatever, and everybody else was like calling all these people's names, and I was just like, oh, I don't know. And I was just like, well, that's our friend, like right in front of them.
Okay.
And so that's literally how it all started, was like just like cheering for your friends. And it started picking up because people were like, that's a really cool concept. And so we started with the hashtag, I want to say 3 years ago, that's our friend, like a double of what the hashtag is now that we use it. And people are like, Alexa, why you do that? And at the time I was like, well, I want people to put in the effort. I want them to know that like you wrote it not just once, but twice. Like, like that's our friend. And so then it started as like the hashtag, but then people were like, it's really long. It's a really long hashtag. So I was like, okay. So we made it to just like the one hashtag. And then from there, it's like, I realized more and more people that like I didn't know were using this hashtag, right? And we're like it being seen. And so it's like I would start checking it, and there would be people on there that I've never met before, using the hashtag. And I was just like, this is really cool. So we started the Facebook group last year, and it's like just kind of a group where you can go, and the only rule in our group is like no self-promotion. So you go there and you brag about your friends, right? So it's a group on Facebook called That's Our Friend Community, and you can go there, and anything that your friends are doing, you can go and you can brag about. Yeah. So from that, we decided we're like, we want to do more of this, right? And so with the pandemic and everything happening, right, we kind of were like, what can we do? So now the focus of That's Our Friend is going to be doing streaming stuff. We have our launch happening on February 27th. It's going to be like 14 hours full of different sort of content. We've got music, I've got live performers, I've got craftsmen, we've got textile arts, we've got just all sorts of different artistic modalities being showcased. And it's just, I'm excited to see where it goes, but that's kind of how That's Our Friend started, and then like where it's headed now in a nutshell.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that's a good background story. I like to hear that. Yeah, I saw. So then that's probably, I've been seeing the hashtag, I think, when you titled maybe some of your streams, bringing people on there.
Yeah.
So that's super dope. Yeah, I like that. It's something motivational and like, yeah, bringing people together instead of just like, because in the world of online, we're all like, here's my thing, my brand, but it's like, okay, so it's cool that you're making space where it's like, all right, let's like take some time to like push somebody else right now. Like, it's cool.
Right. And it's cool because you'll get to see like, now that it's been up for a year, what like, oh my god, I just got goosebumps. But like, what's cool is that like people will share stuff, and then people will be so like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that somebody like cares about what I'm doing, right?
Mhm.
And it like touches them, and then I'll get a message like, I can't believe this has made my day. And then like a month or two later, that person that was like, you know, really so touched is now sharing something with like someone else, you know, and it's like that little ripple that we make in like each other's lives, and like spreading that bit of positivity. Because you're totally right, you know, with the society that we live in, it's very much so, you know, important to have your social media and have your brand and be putting it out there. But it's really cool to know when your friends are like, oh, this is dope, you know what I mean? Like, I'm good. So
nice. So you kind of already brought this up, and I heard that you do have a background in the performance art, or you called it maybe movement art. I recently saw a post where you were doing some pyro stuff. Can you tell us more about how you got into that, or specifically what it is called, or what it is that you do in that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is called movement arts, and then there's like, you know, in that subcategory, right, is flow arts. And that is like, I got into that, I want to say in 2014. One of my previous partners was very into poi, which is like the little balls on string. So I started just like with that and like learning a little bit. I started going to the Detroit Fire Collective, which used to meet every Monday at the Tangent Gallery, and started just learning more about it and really liking it. I did cheerleading when I was younger. And it's like a big exertion, you know? And so that flow arts is as well. And I'm not a very good dancer, but I like to move my body. So like when I have like a prop, right, and I'm like doing a thing, then I feel like more comfortable with it. So that's kind of how it started. And then, you know, I've been really blessed. I was a shadow devil, which is like a fire safety for Theater Bazaar. And I worked my way up through the ranks. And so now I'm a lane performer for Theater Bazaar, which is, they're like main fire performers, right? And I've like got to do a lot of really cool stuff. I've worked with Electric Forest as like a character actor, and Faster Horses, and a couple other places. So
nice.
It really started from like a place of play, and you know, like has allowed me to like really like connect with all sorts of people. And when I started DJing, it's like super funny because I know a lot of the people because I used to do fire stuff at their shows, you know? So it's like people be like, how do I know you? And I'm like, oh, I actually did your fire performing for like this thing. And they're like, I thought that you looked familiar, you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah. And you know, side note on your video that you did, I think it was for Charivari, right? The first stream where you did the big one. So Zeke is actually a really good friend of mine, and I was so happy to see him in your video. I was like, yes, go Carmen, go Zeke. So,
yeah, that was dope. The videographer that I worked with that day brought him in, and it was like perfect. Like I was so excited after I got the footage. I'm like, it's amazing seeing anybody do that kind of stuff. It's like so, you know, mesmerizing. But yeah, he was super dope. And that makes sense, I would assume. I guess the community of people that get into that stuff, especially in Detroit, it seems like, it's a specific collective of people. So that's really cool that you knew him too.
Yeah, we try to like, you know, like really like support one another. And I know that like, it was just so exciting. Like I said, when I've been a fan of yours for a while, so I like saw your thing and I was just like, oh, look at me. Oh, look at, that's our friend. Okay.
You're right. Dope. Yeah, that was a fun one. Well, that's really cool. That's cool to hear your background with that and like the stuff that you've gotten to do. I've always been fascinated with the people that I do, like when I go to events or like EDC or something, like I'm always fascinated with all the different people doing performance arts. Like I was like, I do that. Like or maybe when I was younger, I was like fascinated by that kind of stuff. So it's very cool to meet someone that actually got into it and learned it and got to really do it. It's dope. Okay, so it's dope that you also are a newer DJ. I know I was just looking at your page and you said you just started in 2020, correct? Like with the DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really cool to see you going full force and you're making your moves. How did you get into DJing and what was that learning process for you to really get started with it?
So I with my flow arts stuff, I started doing like more like event production. I'm an assistant general manager for Great Lakes Flow and a couple of other festivals as well. But I really got like a lot of like knowledge and like with event stuff. And I was like, you want to know what? In 2020, like we need CDJs because we rent them a lot. Like we rent them for all of our events. So we're gonna buy some CDJs and then we're going to use them for all the events that we throw because we had like 12 events that we were going to do in 2020. So I bought them thinking it was going to be like, you know, a good investment for my business. And then pandemic happened. And I was like, oh, well, I have all of this equipment sitting in my living room in a box, like basically just like not mocking me kind of. I'm sorry about the dogs. But I was just like, okay. And so I had a couple of friends who were like more into DJing and they really like were like, Alexa, you know, like you should play with this stuff. And I was like, okay. And so I had a couple of really good friends that like sent me some tutorials and kind of like walked me through it. And I really loved it. I loved it. And I will say that like it was probably one of the more challenging things that I've like ever learned how to do like in my adult life. Because I'd never touched the stuff before, right? And this is gonna sound so nerdy, but I watched that YouTube video. There's 2 YouTube videos. I watched a YouTube video on a walkthrough of my CDJ, right? The 2000 X's or whatever. I like watched that YouTube video like 100 times. And then I watched like the one on my mixer as well, like 100 times. Like I was like, I'm gonna know every button. I may not know exactly what to do with it, but I'm gonna know what the button does.
That's dope. I mean, yeah, that's dope that you were committed to be like, I'm gonna watch these videos. I gotta figure this out. It's dope. Cause it's
it was funny.
I feel like sometimes it's hard to without like somebody like keeping you on track and like really being there to be like, okay, no, you got it. What's this? So it takes focus and commitment to be like, I'm gonna learn this online and come back to it and learn it. So that's dope.
Yeah. No, thank you. And I just, like I said, so I started goofing around with it and like a couple of my friends came over and they're like, Alexa, this is good. And like, you know, luckily, like I feel like I have good taste in music, right? So I think that like even when it was on the rough side, like the songs were good, right? So people are like, okay, she's learning, you know, it's cool. But really, I got super blessed. I've just been super blessed. Someone did in April, they did a live stream and they were like, hey, we hear you're DJing now. Do you want to DJ on this live stream? And I was like, what? You know?
Right, it's like, it's real.
I know, I was like, what? Like, no way. So I did that, which led to like a couple other little live stream things. And then when the world opened back up, Johnny Malik of Sauce and Found Records was throwing a show at the Magic Stick. He was like, would you like to open for, you know, my show? And I died. I literally like pretty much was just like, what? Because, you know, like I said, I'd done like the live streams and stuff, but like that was it. And so it was really funny. My friends are like, they still tease me to this day, like, yeah, of course, Alexa, your first show would be like at the Magic Stick opening for someone.
That's dope. Yeah, and Johnny's really dope too. The stuff he does in his crew is always really hype. So that sounds like it was probably a dope show to start with. It
really was. And like I said, super shout out to Johnny because like everybody was like, who is this girl? You know, kind of like thing. And like I definitely like got some people saying some stuff to me about it and whatever. And I was just like, oh, I had no idea. This is like how it is out here. But like he had my back fully and like, you know, someone said something about it and he was like, listen, we're all out here to have a good time and we're all out here to learn. And so I want her to have this opportunity. And from there, I just continued to be blessed. And so like I said, I feel super grateful to have had the opportunities that I do. And, you know, not to kind of like turn it back around on you, but I saw on your social media that you're getting into production now as well. And so that's like really cool. I saw you were like making some stuff. I don't know exactly what you're doing, but I saw you like in the studio, and I think that's super awesome because like I've been trying to get into Ableton too. I like bought Ableton a little bit ago, but I've been busy, you know, and it's just, that's a whole nother like, you know, thing, but.
No, same for me. Yeah, I'm slightly procrastinating because I know it's a whole nother overwhelming element of like, you know, being the beginner at, but no, yeah, that's going to be an exciting journey too for both of us. Cause yeah, I'm trying to learn too. So we're going to go to our last question. Outside of DJing, do you have any other hobbies or passion projects you're currently into or looking forward to potentially starting soon? I know this is a crazy time, so the expectations is like, you might have a lot of ideas, but now we can't get to everything. But do you have some other stuff you're into right now?
Yeah, I would say right now I pretty much have a hyper focus on like really like starting That's Our Friend. I really think that like this is going to be able to help artists as a whole. We like, the whole reason that I started this idea was because I feel like artists are so needed. Like if you think about the pandemic, like what got you through pandemic? Like reading a book, watching a funny movie, you know, like all these things, painting, you know, like, and gardening, culinary arts, like everything. It's like, it all goes back to art, right? And then I feel like a lot of times artists aren't paid for the things that they do. And even not so just in monetary, but in network as well. And so I was like, how can I better help the community of people that I truly love and want to be a part of? And like I said, I've been throwing smaller shows and doing littler things for a while, but for the most part, I pretty much like, you know, like I was always like a number two, right? Like for somebody, which is great. And I'm very grateful to have been a number two for so long. And I look forward to being a number two in many more projects to come. But I'm very excited because I think that, you know, being able to help artists and also being able to like help myself and figure out like the path that like I want to continue to go. I think it's like crucial, and that's kind of why I haven't been like really pushing the Ableton thing too hard, because like I'm like, okay, I'm doing this thing, and then it's like, you know, I don't know if you know who RN Ismo is, but they're actually doing a production class in Ableton for That's Our Friend. So they're going to start doing like a mini series. So you'll see on the 27th we have like him an hour, like, you know, with Ableton, and kind of just like the first, like, you know, whatever, walking people through it and stuff. And then later there'll be more. So for me, I would say right now my hyper focus is really just on That's Our Friend and trying to work on myself so that way I can be the best me that I can be in all of these avenues that, you know, that I want to be a part of. So
super dope. Well, thank you so much. I love to hear that. And yeah, I'm gonna have to check out. It's good to hear that you're having somebody come on who's already savvy with the Ableton thing. I'll be peeping that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be sure to let you know what time it's like going on and stuff, because we'll have a lot of good stuff going. So.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for coming on here, and shout out to you for coming through when we did the Grasshopper show too. That was super dope. That was my first time, I think, really being around you playing and stuff like that, and you had the energy going, so thank you for that too. And thank you for coming on Wonderful Radio, and definitely we'll be on the lookout to see what as you expand with That's Our Friend. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on here today.
Absolutely. Once again, thank you so much for having me. I always try to like leave things off the same way. I always try to remind people, remember to be kind, remember to be necessary, remember to be true, and remember to be you, because that's where like a lot of your power lies. So once again, blessings and abundance to you for having me. And, you know, I hope that mucho wonderful blessings for Wonderful Radio and you as well. So
awesome. Thank you. Talk to you soon, girl. Bye.